podcast. Today we're talking about the season. Is it season or series?
Series, probably, I guess.
Series finale of The Falcon and Winter Soldier, joined by Trent and Zach. We just got done rewatching it. Falcon and Winter Soldier is directed by Kari Skogland. She directed every episode. And it stars a number of people. Anthony Mackie. Seb. Is that his name?
Sebastian.
Yeah.
Seb.
Stars Kurt
Emily Van
Russell's
Camp.
son,
Wyatt.
What?
Wyatt.
Emily Van Camp.
Emily Van Camp.
Aaron Kellyman. That was Carly.
Yeah. Falcon and Winter Soldier has a 3.8 star rating out of 5 on Letterboxd. And on Rotten Tomatoes, that's for the entire series. On Rotten Tomatoes, the final episode, One World, One People, right?
Yeah.
It aired Friday,
Yes, sir.
April 23rd. It has a 63%.
Really?
Trent, do you want to read a positive review of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
You can read it. Do you?
They're great actors who are now given the chance to really shine.
Okay, thank you. Let's do a negative review.
What's more frustrating at this point is
despite
everything.
Fuck. Raised in the series, so
Steve doesn't like that.
yeah.
Honor Steve.
What's more frustrating at this point is, despite everything raised in the series so far, the emphasis of the show always leads back to the ethical dilemma about how we fight instead of who we fight for. It's a little too dark.
I didn't think you were gonna turn off the light.
I mean, we said we were going to turn
I was
off the light.
kidding. You can't see anything
What do you
now.
guys think of this? Since the conclusion
How
of
is the
Endgame-
world man show up in the camera?
Yeah.
What do you think this is?
Black Tony Stark. Since the conclusion of Endgame, each Phase 4 project has dealt with loss, recovery, or filling the void in some way. The latest MCU entrant is no different. Alright, so what did you guys think of the finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I think Zach should go first.
Zach?
Teacher called him Zach. Answer the question.
Right at the beginning, Sam Wilson is revealed to be the new Captain America. How do you feel about it? I don't know if you're allowed to have an opinion, white man.
Honestly.
Trent? Is the costume sick or is it not?
I like it.
I love it.
I mean, even though I wasn't... Like, I know some of the comics, but not entirely. Like, everything about it. But I really like how... I really like how close it is, like, in resemblance to, like, everything in the comics. It looks like it came from the comics, but also it's got its modern MCU.
Like most things from the MCU, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I like, it looks really comic accurate. And then some people were pointing out, like, you know, on the chest, it was, like, the navy blue with, like, the stripes. I think some people were pointing out that that's supposed to kind of be, like, I don't know really what I'm looking for, but like a sign for Steve Rogers. Because remember his suit in the beginning of Winter Soldier?
Oh, yeah.
His shield suit, tactical suit.
Yeah,
I
was
feel
gonna
really
point that
similar.
out. Yeah, I noticed how it, like, the centerpiece right there at the star was, like, just everything with, like, the 2 stripes or whatever, just the way.
Yeah, it's like Steve
Those
had
details.
3, and then his is like 2. And some people are saying like that's like in honor of Steve. That he's missing like a stripe. He's missing Steve.
Yeah.
Like the 3 things could stand for him, Bucky, and Steve.
I thought the finale was disappointing compared to the episodes leading up to it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that I really like the finale. I think that the show had a clear issue throughout the whole thing, and in the finale it was really obvious. I think the biggest issue with the show was the plot, like the central plot with the Flag Smashers, which, with everything, like with all the rumors and everything, I'd give them a little bit of leeway if there were actually rewrites, but I mean, when your main villains of the show just aren't that scary, for like a better term, like there's not really like any urgency, like we need to stop them because they're doing this, and you don't really even know what's going on in the last episode, like what they're doing with the senators. Like they explain it, but not really. And it's not like something that's like we need to stop this, like the world's gonna end or whatever. Which I mean, you can't do that for everything, but the point still stands. And I think the finale, like when you're seeing them like in the final boss or the final boss fight or the final battle, it's like, but where's it going? Like, what's this for? And I think that like the central plot was like by far like the worst part of the show. I think the show, I love the show, but it was always because of the character moments that made it so great, and all the characters being so great, and all of the like them able to discuss like different topics, like just a different side of the MCU. Like even just seeing like smaller characters in other movies, sort of smaller characters, and just seeing like their day-to-day life and everything, like with Sam and Bucky, like what they do from day to day, which you can't really do in the movies obviously because there's not enough time. You got to set up the plot and all that.
Right.
So it's just super cool to see that with all the characters in the show.
It fleshes out the world in a
Oh,
way
yeah,
that
yeah.
you wouldn't see in any of the movies.
That's what I like the best about these series that they're doing. That I think they're going to be able to do that a lot. Yeah, so I can see why some people were like disappointed with the finale or didn't like it, but I think it just all goes back to there was like the Flag Smashers were never like a super threat that you were like worried about like doing something.
I think people are so underwhelmed by the Flag Smashers, they pretty much dismiss it because I don't hear people going on about, oh, you can tell rewrites were necessary or anything.
Yeah.
And I thought there was something wrong with the way I viewed the show and the finale when I didn't understand what was going on. But then you told me about the rewrites and how the Flag Smashers were kind of shoehorned in.
It's not really, well, they were always in it, but like the rumor is that the whole, remember like when they were in the truck and they were talking about vaccines?
Yeah.
Like a lot of people think that was supposed to be like a bigger thing. Like the vaccines were like the whole point of like what they were doing almost. Because there was like because some people were saying like the first story might have been something where like the snap or the blip, whichever one, caused almost like a virus or a sickness that was like worldwide, to where some people weren't even getting like the vaccine for it anymore, and then they were stealing that vaccine, and that's what was ultimately like the goal of the Flag Smashers.
Interesting.
And like that storyline was like the main thing.
Why not keep it? They think we don't want it.
Well, I think it's because of like what's happening in like what actually happened
In the real world.
in real life. But that, I mean, it's just a rumor. But
It makes sense that there'd be some type of sickness. You have all these people returning after 5 years.
yeah,
And
and
it's
then
almost like-
you've got all this cosmic energy, space energy from the stones that just whoop like 3 times on Earth, because you got the Hulk, Tony, and Thanos all did it. So I mean, all that cosmic
Wow.
energy.
You couldn't even think about that.
Yeah. So in one place, on one planet, I should say. So it makes sense for that to be like the storyline. And then like the things that people were pointing out to where like this might have a bit more proof, like I was telling you, with like some of the camera shots, you could tell that they were reshot a little bit, because when people were like talking about like a lot of times when they're talking about the Flash special specifically, like there would be somebody talking, but they would never show the person talking on screen, which is like a trick that they do a lot in movies and TV shows when they rewrite it, so that way you're not like, so that it's just easier for the camera to where like you can just have somebody come in and redo their lines, but you're not putting them on screen and like you're not editing,
Right.
editing
That'd be tough.
everything.
Fortunately, they do a decent job.
Well, yeah, like that's why if it was true, then you got to give them some leeway for it. But ultimately, like, I mean, the plot's big, but the plot just was the weakest part of the show.
Yeah, and the characters did say that you were talking about how great the characters
I love
were.
the characters in the show.
Sam and
All of
Bucky
them.
were awesome as the leads.
Walker.
I thought Walker was great. Every time he was on screen, now this is going further back from the finale, but I thought he stole the show, especially for me. I was thoroughly entertained with everything on him.
I mean, even he was in the finale, but Zemo, having him back, I've always liked Zemo a lot as a villain, and then them bringing him back, I was super excited. I thought that he was gonna be the main villain, honestly, but I mean, he obviously wasn't. He's really like a hero.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the funny thing about Zemo is, in everything that he's in so far, he's always won. Like his goal in Civil War was to break up the Avengers. Obviously, he did that. And then his goal in this was to stop serum being made. Well, he killed the only guy that could make it. And then it was to like get rid of all the other super soldiers outside of Bucky, and he literally blew them all up. So he's done everything he set out
He's
to
too
do.
intelligent to be.
Like he's the only villain that just hasn't been stopped. Well, that I can think of the time. There might be another
Was
one.
I watching? I don't know if I was watching it with you guys, but in the episode that Zemo stomped on all of the serums to destroy them,
Mhm.
there's a camera shot from beneath the floor, and it's almost
Oh,
like he's stepping on like translucent ground because you could see the bottom of his shoe stomping on all of these vials.
I guess
It
it's
makes
just to
no
be
sense.
just to like make the emphasis on it.
Yeah, but
Or like
if you really
just the
think about
camera
it,
angle.
it's an impossible camera angle. Majority of the reason I didn't like the finale was honestly how it was made. I
Like
think,
the pacing.
yes, but it largely had to do with the visuals. It was extremely dark the entire time, and
Yeah, I've noticed that with both of the shows actually. Like not
with
even just with the
WandaVision
shows.
and-
I've noticed it with like Disney, because the Mandalorian's like that too. Like
Yeah.
all the Disney Plus shows are kind of
Mhm.
dark. Where like if there's like even a little bit of glare in your TV, you can't really
Yeah.
see anything.
Wow, I can't imagine having glare on.
And then on top of
TV
that, it's
for this
just
show.
everything's just dark.
Yeah,
A few episodes in each, you could tell like Madripoor, bright, like you could see everything almost. But and then the Mandalorian, like a couple of scenes like super bright. WandaVision, same thing. But like I know what you mean. Like they seem super dark.
the best way to describe this series finale is one long action scene that feels that way.
Yeah.
And when it's filmed in the dark and
You can't-
with the shaky cam, I can hardly see what's going on.
Like even in like this type of like fight style that they do in like Captain America and all that, it's always been super cool to like see like all the cuts with, like Bucky and Steve, especially in the movie. But like I know you can't see it
Mhm.
at all.
The cheesiness, it was to a level that I couldn't
Which
I
parts?
couldn't
Like
ride
the
with.
you're talking about Sharon.
Sharon, it just seems like the way her character went is
Like I think she's a Skrull.
somewhere, yeah, when
I don't think it's her. I
and
think
went
it's
a
a Skrull.
path I didn't expect and I don't think would have actually happened.
Like I sort of get what they're going for with her. Like oh she was wronged by the government, but like some people are pointing out good points. Like so she had to have not been snapped because how else would she have like become the power broker?
Yeah.
But
She
then
can't
it's like
garner that much power
then
in
it's like
such a small amount
she
of
said
time.
nobody checked on her, like in the government, which okay, but she said like the Avengers didn't check on her. Like Steve wasn't snapped either. Like I feel like she would have been one of the people that Steve was like, I gotta make sure she's okay after what she did and the relationship that they were building.
Well, but
It feels like Steve would have made sure that after everything that happened, like, and you could see like the list that they had of like this person's dead, or snapped, not well, whatever, same difference. This person's still alive. Like I feel like she would have been one of the people on that list, and if they knew that if he knew that she was alive, I feel like he would have reached out to her. So that's like where there's sort of like holes
Mhm.
in her story. But if she's a Skrull, then it makes sense. I think she's a Skrull.
but
I'm wrong with that.
wasn't she like arrested or like detained because
No,
of how
She just left. Like she you know how like Black Widow helped them, and she just kind of ran away. Like she did this. She was just gone. Like she was a fugitive, and they were like they would have arrested her if they found her, but she was gone. That's what she went to Madripoor. Because Madripoor.
Well, yeah, so like I could see like that she disappeared to like get
Well, I
away
just
and
mean-
not be a fugitive, and then like
But with like that's what I was saying. But she, like her being so mad though that nobody checked on her, I feel like Steve would have, and he obviously would have the technology to find her because they were in the Avengers base, so they had all Stark's technology, like all the Stark technology to find people. So I feel like he would have.
well, but if she
It could just be a plot hole, like whatever. But like that's something that you could brush off. Like oh maybe Steve forgot about her. But I don't know. That's just like one.
I mean they already had a like I guess like
I was
with
gonna-
the whole
was gonna
Endgame
say,
stuff they already had
like the world was ending. It was apocalypse. So
the-
maybe he
the
just
world-
didn't think about it. But yeah,
yeah the world already had like trauma
so
as
many
is.
issues.
Yeah.
This is sort of unrelated, but I had a thought. The series finale to me had a lot of high highs and low lows compared to the rest of the episodes.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
The emotional moments were
All of them.
they were perfect.
Isaiah.
Throughout the entire series.
What's that dude's
Yes.
what's his neighbor's name? I forgot.
Yeah, Isaiah going to the museum and seeing
Uh,
himself be commemorated, and it's like passing of the torch to Sam, and then Bucky finally admitting and
Yeah.
kind of apologizing to his neighbor.
finally getting past like the Winter Soldier part
Yeah.
himself, and then even Sam's speech. Like a lot of people are saying, why would the protagonist just stand there and say a speech? I'm like, I love that. Was one of my favorite parts in the MCU when he gave that speech. Just
Makes sense to me.
talking to like that was almost showing like one of Steve's best things. People always said, man, he could really give speeches. He could really talk. It's like Sam's shown that he could do that too, on a huge scale in front of like all these powerful world leaders.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and,
and just
it's
putting-
something different.
He's just putting them down. Like he's putting them in their like
right.
telling them like they need to do this, which is even in the real world. Like a lot of people probably want to do that. Like, why aren't you helping these people? Why are you acting like you're the heroes when you're really the villains? Like in real,
Yeah, I like that.
like
I mean, Carly, the way she wanted to achieve her goals, it was the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
But when she died, and it was almost a celebration, Sam quickly made sure that everyone knew.
Like,
do you know why she was fighting? It's like,
That- Like one of my favorite lines was when he was like, "You're calling them terrorists, but what do you think they're calling you? Because you're in there moving them around with guns and an army. Like, what's the difference?"
yeah,
And then it's almost like obviously, it's not executed the same because the Flag Smashers weren't that great overall villains, but it's almost like Killmonger, to where the villain had the right idea, but I mean they were a villain.
the execution was.
Yeah, to where and the same thing happened where like the hero stops him, but then they do what the villain was trying to do. Because like then T'Challa, he opened up Wakanda and started helping people, and now the senators they stopped doing what they were doing and moving those refugees around, or I don't know, the refugees or the people around. They stopped trying to move them around and stuff, or they stopped the bill or whatever order they're like. And that's probably the problem with the plot. I don't even remember what they were doing. I don't even remember what they were really doing. But whatever they were trying to do that the Flag Smashers were trying to stop, Sam stopped them from doing, according to Isaiah Bradley. That's the only reason they even do that, because that was like almost like a throwaway line with him.
Where do you think these characters are going from here, from the finale?
Well, now we know that there's going to be a Captain America 4
Fourth movie?
with Sam. But I'm hoping that Bucky shows up in the Wakanda series as the White Wolf. Maybe him going back and like apologizing or whatever, or even just him showing up a little bit in that. Like I hope that he's in that series because I hope he kind of sticks around as like the White Wolf. They kind of push him more towards that.
Yeah,
From Winter Soldier.
right. Because his role with Captain America is sort of
Yeah, I hope he still shows up in Captain America 4.
Wrapped
But
up.
I hope he's in Wakanda though.
yeah.
Whatever the Wakanda series is.
Because
we don't
the
even know
scenes
what it is
with
yet.
what is it, the dope?
Io.
Yeah, the dope.
Oh, Dora Milaje.
Dora Milaje.
But that's her name. The specific one, Io.
Yeah.
Who I was talking to.
Yeah, Bucky seems to have a lot of business in Wakanda since
And then
he stayed there.
I even had that line where she's like, "Don't come to Wakanda for a little bit," but it's almost to the point where like she said, "Don't come for a little bit," but like after that, like it's still your home. Like you still got a home here. So I hope that maybe he, like, since it seems like he's kind of done with like his list or whatever in New York and helping people, maybe he just ends up going back to Wakanda, trying to make amends there because that's his next step for letting Zemo out. Who knows? But and then Sam, well, he's got his own movie coming up.
The fourth Captain America.
Captain America 4, and then.
Do you think they already knew they were gonna make a fourth Captain America? They just didn't reveal it at the.
Because when they kept releasing all those lists, they kept having movies that were just untitled, and a lot of people were saying Fantastic Four, X-Men, but I'm starting to think that maybe after the series they're gonna start, like maybe not WandaVision and Loki, because WandaVision we already knew with Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
But with like this, or maybe I mean I kind of doubt it, but Hawkeye, I kind of doubt he gets his own show.
I think you mean his own movie.
Or yeah, his own movie.
I think I think they're gonna make.
Like the legacy characters you're starting to see, I think they're gonna start getting their own movies after the series, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think they would have. I mean, you already said they would, but they're gonna have a Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson as the lead before they have a whole new Fantastic Four team.
Well, yeah, because
It
they.
just makes sense to work with what they have.
Yeah, Feige already said like they're still working on casting that, so I think that's gonna be a ways off. But after yesterday, they haven't really started
Maybe
dating yet.
Twitter's already casted it.
I hope that's him. Those two are literally perfect.
And they're married in real life.
Krasinski and one.
Oh, yeah.
So comparing this MCU show to the other MCU show, which finale do you like more?
This one. Like it's a tough choice, but the one thing I will say is after WandaVision's finale, it's not even all the way their fault. It's mainly Twitter's fault. I was kind of like, oh, because like it's like, are we gonna get Mephisto? Are we gonna get more demons? Are we gonna get who's Agatha working for? Who's Quicksilver? Like what's the? And it's like, oh, well, we got that answer. Who's the engineer? That like, it's like we never got any of those answers because people were hyping them up so much. And it's like once we got the answers, like oh. But with this show, I think expectations were lower down here, and I think that's why. Like I was expecting this, like even with like Sam's suit, it's like well you're expecting that to be a suit, but then it comes in, it's like whew, there's the suit, like there it is. You're expecting something to happen to Isaiah Bradley, but then it happens, you're like, it's such a great character moment. So I'd say I like this one a little bit better, but I'm not trying to knock WandaVision at all, but I'd say this one.
I think it was good that WandaVision came first.
Yeah, I honestly think it ended up helping though.
Yeah.
That they switched.
Well, yeah, especially with this one because I feel like WandaVision it like really set like a higher standard because it was something that I feel like not a lot of people were expecting, and so then like already like this show had high hopes, but then as soon as it was delayed back and WandaVision was pushed ahead, then I feel like expectations kind of like lowered, but then as the series started coming out, it just grew, and I really liked it overall.
Yeah, definitely one of my favorite shows. Or
Yeah.
series, I guess. Cobra Kai's number one. It's not gonna change.
I would have to say
Cobra
though,
Kai's always gonna be number one.
between the finales, WandaVision, I'm like, I get what you were saying, like with the hype. A lot of people had to like every next episode there was
every little thing.
Yeah.
That's the bug on the when people started saying that. That's when I was like, okay, chill. People said the
was
bug
fun
was
to theorize
the
about.
I mean-
bunny was Doctor Strange. That didn't even
I mean,
make
it
any
was
sense.
fun to theorize, like though, because with this one, it seemed like a lot of comic
It was a lot more
accuracy.
grounded.
Yeah, it was grounded and like
Like more
the
real-
comic
like real
accuracy.
stuff.
Yeah,
was-
there's the mystical stuff in the MCU, and then there's the.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of see why they were gonna have like Black Widow and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier because it's like two super grounded stories, like that people are used to in the MCU.
And
then you get WandaVision, where it's like
and then
whoa.
Doctor Strange. Right?
Yeah. So then it's like you get these two like, whoa, what is this? This is completely different. Because even a lot of obviously there's a huge majority of people that loved WandaVision, but then there were some MCU fans like, what are this? What is this? Like, where's the action? Is there action? Where's all the action?
Yeah.
And there are people that were always saying stuff like that.
But I would say most
So-
people were burnt out on superheroes, and WandaVision
I think
was,
WandaVision helped it. Yeah.
it helped it. So now when we got to Falcon and Winter Soldier, it's a tad bit more of the formula of the MCU, and people were fine with that.
And then I think, I think a lot of people were expecting Falcon and Winter Soldier just to be so like, this is just gonna be like a buddy cop spy thing. But then they like, I mean, there was so much like that was the worst part of the whole thing. The best part was all the character moments, like the like Bucky and his PTSD, John Walker and his sort of PTSD from being a soldier, and then obviously Sam and the whole question of like being a black man and being Captain America. Like all the different things that they talked about. I think those were all the best parts.
Yeah, no one expected them to dive into those topics.
Well, let me go back on like between the episodes, like the finale. I feel like both of these series, their plots were pretty good. I mean, with this one, I didn't really see it personally because I wasn't really paying attention to like the rewriting and all that. So like I
either if I didn't look it up.
No, yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't.
But you just realize why it's kind of weak then.
But then once people said it, then I kind of was like, okay, you can see the camera tricks.
But I mean, if you think the Flag Smashers are cool, then good for you. Yeah.
I mean,
I think they're bad.
I saw the story like with WandaVision especially, like you just had to let things run its course. You had to see the story all the way through, not just seeing the first two episodes. Those were like weird and stuff, but like you had to see like as things like started connecting and the whole story started fleshing together to get to that finale, then it obviously like turned out really well. And with this one, I feel like every episode just added to something, and although the finale didn't really like have a big climactic like
boss fight.
yeah, even
That-
though it
that
was
was just thrown in there for some reason.
yeah, even though it wasn't like the greatest that we would have thought, I still feel like having things laid up to that was especially good.
There were a lot of payoffs in the final episode, but some of the coolest MCU moments, like just for superheroes, happened in earlier episodes when the Dora Milaje showed up in the apartment, or when
Even John's fight was better than the Batroc fight.
John's fight with who?
Sam and Bucky.
Oh yeah,
Like
John's
when
fight.
they're like the fight for the shield, like the Batroc fight was literally just so anticlimactic and so like Batroc the Leaper, George St. Pierre, like the remember the guy that was in the helicopter?
Oh yeah.
Sharon's French dude.
It was so dark. I have no idea what that
Oh
was
yeah,
happening.
like he literally just kind of gets shoehorned back in for the end, and then the fight never even ends. Like Sam just kind of flies away because he has to go save the helicopter. So it's like the John fight was way better than that. When they're trying to get, and even just the idea of the fight is like they're fighting to get Captain America's shield.
Yeah, like the story and the meaning behind it was like.
Like the Batroc fight was like Batroc's mad because he lost money. It's like
I feel like this series did like very well because it had a lot of like deep meaning just to everything, sentiment, like you were saying, legacy, just everything about it had like something great to add.
The MCU is always gonna have that going for it. Think about it, from episode 1 of this show, they had characters that we already know and love, and have so much weight to them because
like literally they could just do like nobody in the world is probably like, I'm not gonna say that, I shouldn't say that. Most people in the world have not heard of Shang-Chi, and then you see that trailer come out and everybody's freaking like, what is this? Marvel's attached to it, and everybody wants to go see it. Like they've got such a brand now that anything they put up, they can do whatever they want. People are gonna go see it, which is such an advantage to have. And they haven't really missed yet in Humans,
but they will
in Humans. But we're not gonna talk about that because they're redoing that. And then Iron Fist, but I'm not talking about that either. Hopefully he's in Shang-Chi.
I am curious though after this series about where everything leads to for some, if not a lot of these characters. Like obviously, like you were saying, Captain America 4 for Sam, Bucky maybe in it. You were saying
like Sam, Bucky, Sharon. Yeah, I know what
you mean. Yeah, so like they might all be in that Cap 4 movie, but like I'm curious to see like Walker's story continuing, Zemo, because I've always wanted his like comic like.
The Hood?
Like his actual like character from the comic, like just everything about him, and like as great and fantastic as his character already is, with like how intelligent he is. I'm curious to see like, because I honestly thought that he probably would have taken the serum, because I don't know if you guys remember those shows, but like on Disney XD or whatever, it was like the Avengers Assemble, all those. But yeah, like I remember watching that, and he was like a pivotal like villain to Captain America, like sort of like a Winter Soldier-esque like nemesis, kind of like that.
I was gonna say, in the comics, it's always been like Red Skull and Zemo have always been like two sides of one coin. To where like they're always like Steve Rogers, like number one nemesis.
Really?
Nemesis.
New Red Skull, I didn't know about Zemo.
Zemo's always been superior to Captain America.
You think there's a chance Zemo might have taken a serum?
I just like, for a second there I was kind of like, maybe he will, but then I was like, if he did that in this show, it just wouldn't make any sense for him to ever do that, because his whole thing is nobody should be a supremacist, nobody should have powers, superheroes need to die.
And that's why he's an interesting villain, because he has a point.
That's why for a second I was like, are they really gonna do that? And then he's like, no, I'm not gonna take it. I was like, oh, okay, because I think he's got like some sort of like superpowers in the comic, like a version of super strength or whatever in the comic.
Well, that's why I was saying like he's sort of like a nemesis to Cap.
For a second I was like, maybe he's gonna do it, and then he's like, well, it just wouldn't, the way that they've set him up now, it just, at this point I don't like, it just wouldn't make any sense. Like that, then it would kind of be like, well, why is he all of a sudden becoming a hypocrite?
Well, I guess I could see it.
Sorry.
I was gonna say like, I guess mainly because like he would feel he's the only superior, because like just his intelligence, like digging seeping in the cracks of everything and making everything crumble. Like just with that, like only his intelligence could do that, and it would just enhance like anything about him and give him like combatant skills, which I kind of want to see based off the comic.
He showed sort of him, because he was like a special agent for whatever the Sokovian government. I don't even know if they at least said the name, but that was like his job, was like to like stop super soldiers or stop people or whatever. So like he even showed it a little bit in the episodes where he was fighting, but he was mainly using a gun. But he's got like some like fighting skills.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, because what was it? His like trademark thing is like he would have the purple suit. Fur, like there was like the fur or whatever, but he had like just a mask, but like it was like there's like a full.
I don't know if they'll ever do it. It's so like, maybe they will at some point, but it's almost like it would seem so ridiculous for his character, because they're so different.
Yeah.
Because the comics one, they're just so different from each other. Like he's got the same name and like he's still Captain America's nemesis. Well, sort of, because he was in his third movie. But like the characters, really, when you think about it, they're not really that similar at all.
No.
Yeah, he'd be the last person they put in an exact comic accurate suit.
That's why I think the closest they'll get was when he was wearing the fur coat and the mask. I think that was
And
like
even
there.
some people said, why did he put on the mask?
I think that was kind of like just a nod.
It was just a nod.
He's got his comic
cool.
stuff.
Well, only because we see the mask as this really meaningful thing from the comics, but I mean, if we didn't know about it, we'd be like, oh, what's the mask?
Until you just said that, I never really like those two characters really aren't the same at all. Like even if you just look at the cartoon, like they're not.
Yeah, no.
It's like
it
two
seems like he's
completely
more power hungry and like
he's more like the
he
rest of
he wants to combat and like
was
I remember he would always have like the sword or
He's got
whatever.
I was wondering if they're gonna pull up the sword at some point.
Yeah, so like with that, I liked also the nod when he was like, "Oh, I'm a baron." Like,
Yeah.
His name was Helmet Zemo, Baron
Baron
Zemo.
Like he's like,
like
he's like an actual baron, but in
Yeah.
this, but like in the thing, his name is actually Baron. Like
Yeah.
What would you say is another MCU character that strays far from
the
their...
comics. Hank Pym in the comics is not a good person. Let's put it that way.
He's a pretty
he's
sweet old guy.
No,
He's
Hank-
Well, he's not really
Pym-
old in the comics. I think the main reason the MCU decided to use Scott Lang is because Hank Pym has got such a bad name in the comics. Like he was abusive to his wife. I mean, he's done like he just thinks he's better than everybody. Like he's not.
Why'd they write him in such a way?
It was like one writer did that, and I think they were kind of mad at him too, because then they kind of pulled it back. But he was like not a good person in the comics.
What
at
if
all.
Zemo...
I thought it was only because like that was when he turned to Yellow Jacket.
It was something like that. Like, but he was like really bad. Like it wasn't just. But he's done like
It wasn't
he was almost like a worse version of Tony. Like if Tony was just
Ego.
absolutely like the ego, the drinking, all that. Like
No, because what was it? I remember he was just like, was he like a doctor or a scientist?
Hank, well, he was like it's always been like Mr. Fantastic's always a smart. Reed Richards always number 1 for smart people. Hank Pym's normally number 2, and then Tony's normally like number 3, and then Bruce, all that.
And
That's
was
what
it in the
normally is.
comics? Wasn't it him and Tony that?
Ultron.
Yeah,
It was Pym.
They created all
Yeah.
the
It was just Pym. I'm pretty sure.
yeah. It was. I thought Tony had
He might
something
have,
to do
but
with
I'm
it.
pretty sure it was like a majority. Like
Yeah, it was majority.
Maybe it was sort
majority
of similar to like what they did with like Tony and Bruce was there, kind of. But
Yeah.
it was Tony that did that. But I think it might have been something like that. But I know that Pym was like the.
No, yeah, I
Regular.
remember him like in the comics having like.
Yeah. But he in the I think his comic character and his real character, because Scott Lang is just like he'd almost be like the Falcon to Ant-Man, like the second. Even though I guess Sam's not really the second version of Captain America in the comics, but
Yeah.
he's like Scott Lang is like the next version of Ant-Man. He's not like Hank
kind
Pym.
of like
Hank
Miles
Pym is
Morales.
yeah,
to
like
Peter.
Hank Pym is Ant-Man, but in this they decided to age him up. I think they were trying to stray away from his character in the comics.
What if Zemo uses the serum to destroy the serum?
I was thinking about that. That was another point I wanted to bring up. I wonder if they're gonna do anything else with super soldiers at this point. Well, I guess they have to.
They're
'cause-
worse. No, they're not worse. They're almost as bad as Skrulls.
you don't like the Skrulls?
Yeah, it's there's endless opportunities and it's messy.
Because the super soldier serum, like it's always gonna be a thing. Just because if they really want to do Wolverine right, they've got it. The super soldier serum.
Oh, is he a super soldier?
Well, it's like so.
Well, he's already a mutant.
You know how
with
it's called
his-
Weapon X? So X is actually like they kind of retcon this kind of. X is actually a Roman numeral for 10. Like he's Weapon 10, like the 10th attempt to make another Captain America, because he's Weapon 0.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
And then they kind of already started talking about this because Thunderbolt Ross in the Incredible Hulk, that's what he was doing. Like that's why the Hulk came about in the MCU. He was trying to,
yeah.
and then that's why Abomination is. So I think it's gonna stick around because he's gonna be there. And now he's got Zemo.
Why did Bruce Banner turn into?
The Gamma
It
radiation?
was
The Gamma radiation just didn't
No, I
work
meant
anymore.
what
Were
was
they gonna
it?
make him a Captain America?
Well, no, but it's just like
That was his
the
research.
Weapons X
Oh.
program or Weapons Plus program. I mean, it's always about like, can we redo the super soldier serum?
Oh yeah,
That's
all about that.
Yeah, because
Yeah. That's why I
I
always
remember
thought, I kept thinking that Thunderbolt Ross was gonna be the
Dude,
power broker. I was
I rem-
hoping that
I
was
remember-
The super soldier serum has to do with everything.
basically.
I remember seeing something on Instagram like the different like variants or like different types of one. There was Erskine's original one.
Yeah.
There was Zola trying to replicate his. Then Banner made his, and then
Nagel.
Ross sort of
built off of that. Then he
built off that.
Abomination.
So Hulk, Abomination, and then
It's like you got the Pfizer, the Moderna.
and I feel like there's another one before Nagel.
Probably, but I think that's what.
Starks. Howard Starks.
Unless Howard Stark worked on the project to make.
But he was also in S.H.I.E.L.D. and they that was.
I'm sure he had
where,
something to do with one of them. All those mad scientists down there. But yeah, so I think that's gonna be because the Captain America side of the MCU. I think that's always what it's gonna be based in. And Thunderbolt Ross is gonna continue being like the main, like behind the scenes, while he's setting up. But I think it's pretty. I think at this point it's not confirmed, but it's confirmed that they're gonna do Thunderbolts in some way.
Especially with
Zemo,
Walker.
I think Zemo was chilling. Like they've literally got Zemo in the raft with Thunderbolt, where he controls the raft.
Does he? Oh yeah.
Zemo literally in the comics a lot of times. The Thunderbolts is always normally Zemo.
He hardly ever shows up in the movies. I mean, he does, but for how important he is, and
that's what I think. I think he's gonna be big, and I thought he was gonna be bigger. I thought he was gonna be the Power Broker.
Will he be the Red Hulk?
I hope so.
That's what I want to wait for.
It seems like he's down for it, but who knows?
Is he an old guy? He's an old guy.
Sort of, but I mean, a lot of that is just CG at this point. Anyway.
I know, but he can't do the stunts or anything.
I don't even think.
But I mean, they rarely do.
Like even like RDJ at the end didn't really do a lot of the stunts because you've got so much of the stuff on you at that point.
Oh, what was it with Far From Home? Like, do you remember all that? Like with Nick Fury there, like the wall was fake, the gun was fake, just everything.
Everything's fake.
Yeah, like with that, like how much CGI they have.
Peter's fake when he's swinging on the webs. Oh, no, that's always been true for Spider-Man.
Can you imagine like an actual Spider-Man swinging on the webs during a movie? You're like in New York watching the film the scene, you're like, hey.
I mean, literally the
Tobey Maguire's.
literally the only thing with Spider-Man is like his landings or whatever. Like with Far From Home, when he was like at the end credits when he was like landing, there was like all the set photos of him with MJ or like Zendaya and all that.
I kind of wonder. I don't think they. Well, actually, I think they might be able to. Actually, no. No, they can't. They can't. I was thinking the Hulk. I wonder if Sony and Disney will ever do a thing where they do something Spider-Man for TV, because it seems like almost basically every other character like the main characters are getting some sort of TV series.
Yeah, Captain America, Iron Man,
Black Panther, Hulk. I mean,
Hulk's getting his own.
She-Hulk's getting one.
Oh, yeah, She-Hulk. Yeah.
And then he's gonna be in that, and then you got Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, and Scarlet. Like all of the main characters.
Right.
Like Iron Man gets 2. Like apparently, I don't know why those are just one show.
He gets 2.
You got
Ironheart.
I know Armor Wars with Rhodey.
Oh yeah.
I
Rhodey's one of my favorite MCU characters.
I can't wait to see what they do with that. Because they're obviously they're gonna be connected somehow, but I thought that they'd just make that one show. So
I just remembered Rhodey showed up in this show.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna come back. I didn't think they were gonna have him for one episode. I thought he was gonna come back.
That should have been the reveal. You know when the truck was falling down and all of a sudden it's Falcon's there.
Well, I think that had to be Falcon.
They made it seem so epic and shocking. I'm like, yeah, this is his show. Of course he's there to save the day. They should have had Rhodey show up in the War Machine suit.
I thought he was going to show up at the end with Isaiah Bradley. That's what I thought. I thought they were going to show him at the end with Isaiah Bradley. It's like, oh yeah, we got all the black characters. Well, not Black Panther. But we got the other black superhero chilling over there. And we got Isaiah Bradley. It's like, he's going to be like, yeah, look what I've done. Look how far we've come. Now they're actually black superheroes. Like chilling in his little like statue. Like I thought, because that's where we last saw Rhodey, was in the museum. So I thought maybe, he'll be back for this, but no, he's never getting back.
Do you guys have any last thoughts about the series finale of Falcon and Winter Soldier? They renamed it. Now it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
I love that tag at the end. I was not expecting that.
But Bucky doesn't want to be the Winter Soldier anymore.
I thought they were gonna put White Wolf when I saw Captain America pop up.
That's so dumb.
But I mean, I guess that might be changing a little bit too much for people that don't really know anything about the White Wolf, because they've only said that a couple times. So some people might be like, "What the heck does that mean?" White Wolf.
They only said it at the end.
They said at the
like when
post-credit. They said in the one post-credit scene, the joke where he's like, "It's actually White Wolf," and then when Io said it, when she said, "Don't come back."
I suppose both names they use for that new title at the end are the names that the two protagonists had to learn to accept. Sam had to learn to
that's true.
To be the new Captain America, and then Bucky's accepting that he was the Winter Soldier.
That's why I kind of hope, if he does show up in whatever the Wakanda series is, which we don't know, I'm kind of interested in what the heck they're gonna do with that. I hope that he's in it and sort of starts becoming like actually like, this is the White Wolf now. It's not Winter Soldier.
Instead of the Falcon and Winter Soldier, they should just call it sucky.
Bucky and Sam.
Yeah. Or
Or Bucky and Sarah.
if you follow
Zac.
WandaVision's title formula, it would be
Wanda, like that title is so clever, and people were
Yeah.
complaining about it at the beginning. I was like, no, you don't understand. It's not just their names. It's WandaVision, television, and her. Like, there's like 4 layers to it. It's like
Yeah,
her vision,
it's an
it's
amazing
television, and it's their. It's so clever. WandaVision. And people were like, why would you just smush their names together? It's such a dumb title. I'm like, no. But that's the Marvel fanboy in me. I stay calm. I'm not one of the crazy ones.
one last complaint. Sorry, about the final episode. I said there were high highs and low lows as well. As cool as the reveals were of the U.S. agent and the new Captain America, it just went on and on. Like, oh look, and now we have the Power Broker. Oh look,
I don't like Sharon. Unless she's a Skrull. If she's a Skrull, please let her be a Skrull. Please let me be right, because I can with that one on my own. I just think she's a Skrull. It just doesn't make any sense. That's the only way that it makes sense. Why would you just all of a sudden be so evil, or not so evil, but
yes, that's what
just
I'm
turn-
saying.
And why would
She
like,
was
my,
like the most morally
my thing was like,
correct girl at S.H.I.E.L.D. and now she's a bitch.
like why would Steve not check on her? Like, it's Steve. Like he's.
I mean, the way
Steve-
I
if
can see it
Steve
is
can
just
talk to if Steve can talk to Gay
He can talk to Rocket. Like, why can't he talk to her?
if he can talk to Gay Joe Russo, then why can't he reach out to his old friend Sharon?
He could literally
Well, I mean,
talk
I feel
to
like
a
she-
talking raccoon in space, but he can't talk to Sharon Carter in Madripoor. There's no way. Unless she's a Skrull. If she's a Skrull, please let her be a Skrull.
Man, screw.
I was hoping so. I love Skrull. I was hoping so bad that Thunderbolt Ross would be the Power Broker.
you don't like Skrull.
I don't like Captain Marvel.
It's different.
I don't like the Captain Marvel movie. And
I think the movie. Well, that's a whole different topic. I'm not gonna get into it.
Whoa.
That's a whole different topic.
Are either of the Marvel TV shows on Disney Plus better than The Mandalorian?
Yes.
You said yeah.
Zach?
Yes.
Recency bias.
No.
No. No. Well, it's mainly because I'm just more pro Marvel than I am pro Star Wars. And The Mandalorian is like, it's so different because these are like 6-hour movies. The Mandalorian is literally, if you watch it as a movie, it just doesn't really make any sense because it's like they're episodic.
Yeah.
It's an episodic TV show. These really aren't. These are really just like really
These are
long,
series.
like long movies.
So, do you think there will be a distinction soon where there's movies, there's TV shows,
I
and
think
there's seasons?
I like what they're doing where they're like,
Series.
you take the TV show or the series, they're not really shows, I guess, because most of them are in one season. You're taking these, and the thing that really intrigues me is that the character parts are the best parts. So that's super interesting because you're finally getting to like know these characters that we haven't really gotten time to spend time
Yeah.
with, and you're starting to know them a little bit better.
I mean,
Wanda and Sam are probably the biggest two.
Yeah.
Well, they're two.
Wanda's not
protagonists.
like Tony Stark where she gets to be in 15
Every
MCU movies.
movie.
Yeah, every movie.
and end up being the main character just because everybody like just steals the show. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's Tony's.
That's
I mean,
all
it's
that,
Robert
that's
Downey
all
Jr.
that happened. Any of those Phase 1 heroes could have been the guy. And I mean, they all played their role, but it was
already Jay and Steve.
It was already Jay and Steve. Well, Steve because his character's important. But no, the Chris Evans performance is as good as.
I think those are definitely the best. They're just so. Both of them are just so perfectly cast. I think a lot of people are getting so much more into it. Like we're starting to notice them more, but they're so good at putting up little teasers. Like even like Elijah Bradley. Like I barely know anything about the character, but the second he showed up, I knew enough about Isaiah to be like,
Which one is your home?
Elijah.
I like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner better, but I like the Incredible
The
Hulk.
evil Hulk.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think with the two like big recast in the MCU, which is Rhodey and Bruce Banner, Don Cheadle's a great actor and everything. I love him, but it's so hard to see him as like Tony Stark's best friend compared to Terrence Howard. Like Terrence Howard,
you're right.
you just see like these two are like best buddies. With Don Cheadle, it's almost like how did these two become like? It's like you like they got a friendship, but it's like how did they become like? But Terrence Howard is like you could just see it. Like,
Totally.
they
Terrence
definitely
Howard
become best
seems
friends.
like a little more mature version of Tony.
Yeah, but like with Don Cheadle, it's like he's so much more mature than Tony. It's like,
Yeah.
how did this relationship happen?
I feel like they would never get along. Yo, they should cast Obama,
That's who. Rod of Black Super. No, I'm kidding.
the new T'Challa.
I want John David Washington to do it. Or not T'Challa. No, he's done. Whatever other.
John David Washington would be amazing as
Whatever new Black Panther character.
a new Black Panther. I'm excited for all MCU shows now
Every single
because the first two were
I
great.
can't wait for Loki. People have been hating. I can't wait for
Owen
the
Wilson
much
is in
longer
MCU.
How much longer until then?
June 9th.
And I'm honestly excited for Black Widow, man.
Not all the way till June.
I was cold on
Yeah,
Black
they
Widow.
moved it back from May.
Black Widow looks pretty rad.
I can't wait for Black Widow. What's her face? Val is supposed to be in. Well, not supposed to. She's going to be in Black. She was supposed to be in that first. Val.
Yeah,
And
that's why she was in.
I think that's setting up her talking to Yelena, and I think that's going to be her like solidifying like she's Dark Nick Fury, putting together her own team. Because now you're going to have Dark Black Widow and Dark Cap, U.S. Agent, and Yelena Belova,
Is that Florence Pugh's character?
her sister.
I'm curious to
Ooh,
see about
sorry.
Red Guardian as well. That's like a that's like a different
That's a
comic
big.
book.
That's a big
like,
actor to cast. if
We've
you're not
never
gonna
seen
use
the
it.
Avengers fight like other heroes.
I think she's gonna kind of. Well, they did in Civil War sort of, even though they're
Yeah, you're right.
throwing their.
But what if there was another Avengers movie where it was like,
X-Men vs Avengers?
yeah, but Sam could
Eventually.
go against Walker again?
Well, yeah, I think I don't know if they're gonna have them be. That's what I kind of think. I don't know if they're actually gonna do it, but I'd like to see there be a Thunderbolts team and a Dark Avengers team. I'd like to see U.S. Agent and Yelena Belova or whoever on Dark
Is
Avengers.
Thunderbolt,
Thunderbolts is like their Suicide Squad, so it's like they're villains, but they're doing things for the government.
why are they called Thunderbolt?
Thunderbolt
Yeah.
Ross.
Oh, so he operates that?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why they're like really bad.
How old? I want to know how old that guy is.
He's probably in his 60s, maybe 70s.
Ooh.
But
But yeah, and then because you go ahead.
I was just gonna say that the main thing for MCU is I'm curious to see how storylines continue.
Oh yeah.
Like especially with Spider-Man, all the hype around that, with all like these rumors and all that. I mean, like yeah,
There's too much story that they left open for them to be like, okay, well now we're gonna do Spider-Verse. Like I think it might be in it, but I don't think it's gonna be the main point of the movie. I think the main point is still gonna be
Yeah.
Peter having to figure out what am I gonna do. Like unless they just at the beginning have like a scroll figure it out for him, which they can do, but that's like
but I'm just curious with storylines like that because like the whole thing, especially like how you're saying, oh Sharon Carter, she's a Skrull.
I think it's a scroll.
And it's
Secret
like
Invasion,
that.
Secret Invasion, baby.
Yeah, but like the whole
Whenever that
thing
comes
was
out.
like, I remember after Far From Home, everyone's like, oh, there's a simple solution. Just get a scroll and be like, oh, hey, I'm Peter. Oh, wait, why is Spider-Man? And like all that.
It's kind of interesting that they're taking like such a big story and putting it on a TV show. I think
Which?
Secret Invasion,
Oh.
Nick Fury show.
They're casting some big names.
Yeah, like Amelia, like that. Yeah, that's kind of surprising. Well, I kind of get it because maybe like that's such a big story in the
They're
comics.
putting all of their
But
Well, maybe it's like a.
that's
eggs
it's
in
literally
the-
supposed to be like
in the
sort of
show
like
basket.
WandaVision supposed to be like a preview for Doctor Strange. I think
Yeah.
they were saying that that's supposed to be a preview for Captain Marvel too. So,
What is Secret Invasion?
Yeah, which
I
makes
think
sense.
Captain Marvel 2 is going to be epic.
Yeah.
Better be better than the
Well,
first one.
I mean, Miss Marvel should be in it, and she's pretty cool.
And Monica Rambeau.
One of the best characters. She's still my favorite from WandaVision. She's so cool.
I liked her
And Jimmy Woo.
early on, and then she was all corned up at the end.
Well, she was supposed to have. That was another thing with the rewrites and with the quarantine and with everything, because they were supposed to have like a whole big scene with like her and the kids and evil Pietro. Not evil, just Pietro, like fighting like a demon. I was like,
The,
what? That
the
would've been
boner
awesome.
guy.
That would've been awesome. They felt like a demon in Winterface's basement, but they had to take it out.
You've already answered this question for me, but if Boner isn't the real Quicksilver, then why does he run fast?
I think.
It's
Pretty
like
sure it's
the
the enchanted
illusion
bracelet.
and the
I'm
hex.
pretty sure it's the enchanted bracelet that she
Yeah.
won. But
I mean, it
Yeah.
is magic.
Don't resurrect Boner.
nah, let him chill until they just.
And is Steve Rogers on the moon?
I don't think he's dead. It just wouldn't make any sense.
He should have showed up. In this
I am
episode.
curious
I
what
think
happened to him.
Here, I think when they kept saying the moon, I think somehow, some way, somebody leaked out some information that he's on Nick Fury's space station. Like, remember how he was on the space station at the end of Spider-Man?
Oh,
I
yeah.
think he's probably just chilling up there.
Oh.
I mean, where else would he go?
The old guy?
Old man Cap.
Yeah.
Like maybe he's just chilling up there helping him like figure out like what's going on or getting his stuff in order with the sword. Or I guess they're not really a sword. I guess swords are complete. I thought that was gonna be a sword station. Maybe that is a sword station. I don't know. But swords is different than I thought it was gonna be in the MCU.
Thank you everybody for listening and watching.
Oh yeah, if I were on camera.
You can find our Twitter at AttemptCast, and you can find our Instagram at First AttemptCast. So go follow those two accounts. I've been Jaden Easton.
I'm Zac Hoelscher.
TV. Go Lakers.